Hi photographers! I am back with another educational session here with Black Women Photographers. And again, I am Keita with Keita Explore Photography based here in Atlanta. Today I'm bringing a topic that is great for new photographers or for photographers who haven't picked up the camera for a while and they're trying to get back into it. Today I'm going to talk about the exposure triangle. We're going to talk about ISO, shutter speed, and aperture, the three key elements of this triangle, which is important for photographers to know so when they go to manual mode they can use these features. So let's give a definition of each of these elements. So first of all, let's talk about ISO. ISO is the camera sensitivity to light. So the higher the number of the ISO, the brighter the photo is going to be. And there is a risk for the photo to become more grainy, especially on older camera models. The lower the ISO, the darker the photo is going to be, but you don't have as much risk of a grainy photo. This ISO number you do have to play with depending on your setting. If you're inside or somewhere with low light or at night, you may have to make your ISO higher. If you're outside on a bright sunny day, you may have to make it lower because if it is too high, your photo is just going to be blown out because it's already bright outside. So you do have to adjust it based on your setting. Next up, let's talk about shutter speed. Shutter speed is the length of time the shutter is open, which is exposing more light into the camera. So if you have a longer or slower shutter speed, so something like, just the whole number like 8, you're going to get more light into your camera. But also when you have that slower shutter speed, you're also going to be able to slow things down and make things streak. So if you are taking photos on a busy highway and people are driving at 70 miles per hour, this is when you see the lights streaking out and blurring. You don't see the car anymore. You just see light streaks going down the road. Whereas if you have a fast shutter speed, so you're going to have a fraction of a number, so 1/1000, you're going to be able to capture moments in time. So things aren't streaking out, but you are not getting as much light into your camera. So it's going to get darker. Lastly, aperture is the opening in the lens in which light passes through. So when your aperture is a big aperture, which is also a lower number on the scale, you're going to get more light in your camera. So at 2.8, you're going to get so much light coming through your lens into your camera. Also, with that lower aperture or a bigger opening in your aperture, you're going to be able to have a shallow depth of field. So when you see photos of one person in focus and the person right behind is out of focus, they have a really shallow depth of field. On the other hand, if you have a high aperture number, means you're going to have a smaller opening for light to pass through your lens into your camera, meaning your photo is going to potentially be darker. But with that higher aperture number, but a smaller hole, you get more things in focus. So if you have a group of people, everyone's going to be in focus. Now, with all three of these elements in the exposure triangle, you do have to work with each of them because one may need to be set this one way based on the photo that you want to use or have, and something will have to offset it. Really have to work with all three in order for the exposure triangle to come together. Practice makes perfect, but it's definitely worth it when you know how to use all three of these items. So stay tuned for future educational videos, and we will actually talk about each of these elements in future videos. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.